I just want to do a quick intro to this video. I want to thank Graeme for his time. He was very open and honest throughout it. What I was mostly impressed with was the fact he had quite a few setbacks in his career as a player and as a coach, but he never gave up, he kept going, and I think that you'll appreciate that as well. So, yep, thanks for his time, and he's clearly a top level coach, he was a top level player, and he's an even better guy in my opinion, so I hope you enjoy it. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel and comment. The algorithm really appreciates that, and so do I. So thanks very much and enjoy. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel Off the Underside. We've got another episode this week with another absolute legend. He's ex-York City, Reading and Scotland international, and he's currently the under-21 coach at Sunderland. It's Mr. Graeme Murty. Graeme, how you doing, pal?
Very well, thank you. Hope you're well.
Yeah, we're all good, mate. We're all good. Thanks very much for coming on. Really appreciate your time.
Oh, thanks for having me on.
No problem, mate. So on this channel, Graeme, we like to go right back to the start, mate. You were born in Saltburn in England. At what point did you realise that you were into football and you wanted to become a player?
There's not a realisation point. There's not a point that you just go, bang, I want to play football. It's just something you do. You do it all the time. It's what you do. If you find yourself with every minute that you've got spare going and doing a hobby, that's probably something that you're quite drawn to. That's all I ever did. I went and had a football with me wherever I was. I just remember kicking a ball around, either on my own, with my dad, with my pals. And I think we had a real advantage where we just went off, disappeared for hours at a time and just invented games of football. We were world renowned in our estate at doing overhead kicks on concrete just because that's what you did, because we're just daft and stupid and young and all we wanted to do was score a worldie. And we did it for hours on end.
Still hoping to score a worldie and I'm 31. But you went to York when you were a young lad, going through the youth academy system and stuff like that. Was there anything in those early years in the lower leagues that helped you throughout your whole career?
I think before going to York, I'm from the area around Middlesbrough, so I know I don't sound it. I don't sound particularly Scottish, as all of my pals keep on telling me they can't do the club of Scotland. So me and Nigel Quasi used to get dogs abuse, but I was at Middlesbrough as a young'un, and I got released for being too small. So my old man goes into the office with Bruce Rioch, and he's never going to be a player. He's too small. He's not going to make the grade physically. We can't not waste the time, but we can't take the time to see whether he comes through. We've got better prospects. And as a young person, that absolutely crushes you because that's so much part of your social identity at school. I was the footballer at school. So he's the one who plays football. And when you've got to tell your pals that's that bit done, you take a massive hit. Your ego, your status, your place in the hierarchy of your life takes a massive hit. And I'm really thankful to my parents. They never let me dwell on it. They got me out. I went everywhere playing. And I went to York, and I was really fortunate to get into a really good team at under 16 with two brilliant coaches, Barry Tate and Gary Naylor. And they really helped me get over it, just be myself and go and play. And I managed to get into the academy, and learning and playing for a small academy. We just learned to battle and fight and be resilient and accept, actually, something I think that will come up later on, accept and be proud of who we were. I think a lot of people, when they go to a new club or where they get a higher profile, they try and change to become the thing they think they should be. And I learned the lesson really early with the coaches at York that I had to be the maximum me before I did anything else. So I really credit those two coaches and Ricky Sprazier and my first manager, Alan Little, with me trying to find out who I was and going through loads of adversity, loads of setback, as you do as a young person. But having that support there was phenomenal. I'll never forget it. And I think it's really segued into this part of my journey and the way that I coach now.
So you're just talking about that point in Middlesbrough though, where they decided to let you go? I've got actually two questions on that. But the first one is, do you think that's an actual thing in football where someone can be too small? And also, did you ever think about once Middlesbrough done that, about giving up?
Two parts to that. So yeah, I think there is a perception in professional sport that people can be too small. We see it all the time in academies where you see really early maturing footballers who are the standout player because they're physically so adept, so powerful, so strong that nothing that they do on a pitch is really difficult. I remember going to Oriam and watching France play against Scotland under 15s, and Nathan Patterson was playing, and he was about that wide, and Thuram's son was playing, and he was monstrous. He was huge. He's a bloke already. And we, Nathan, had to try and find a way to compete. And you're looking and going, that's not fair. But Nathan showed different aspects of what he was going to be. Whereas some of the French guys and some of the guys that you see in English academies now are pretty much done in terms of physical development. You have to have a really, really good eye, I think, to be that bold in your statement to say they're never going to get there. I don't think you can. I think you have to take a much longer view and be patient, because when you look at all of the research, kids don't break into teams generally. There's the outliers like Lamine Yamal and Rooney and people like that. They don't tend to break in until it's a lot later. So we have to extend the pathway a bit, but not everyone has the resource. So I think if you take a snapshot, you can say they're going to be too small. However, I'd throw Billy Gilmore back at them. Billy was always tiny, 15 years old, playing in an under-20s team when I was at Rangers, and you can't expect the same thing. So we only ever gave Billy two instructions, really. The first one was you're never allowed to be tackled because you're going to get hurt.
No.
You have to be clever enough never to get tackled, and I never want to see you tackle because you're going to get hurt trying to tackle people. You need to intercept the ball to show how well you read the game. And he was phenomenal at both. No one caught him.
You can see him in Napoli and even Chelsea and stuff like that. He's got that turn of pace and stuff like that. So he must have carried on with that advice throughout his career.
But his picture and his understanding and the way that you go into a training session and you set certain parameters and exercises up, and the way Billy grasped it and manipulated the people around him so that he would be successful was incredible from a really, really young age. So I went in really excited looking at Billy and thinking, people talk about him really well. And I walked out of the first training session that I had with him. I was like, oh my goodness, this kid is special. We just have to wait. We just have to wait because he'll play for Scotland. And that's the first time I've ever said that about a kid. So I think, yeah, that definitely is a real big thing in youth football and youth sport, because it's really easy to see the shouting talent. You have to have a really, really good eye to see the one that whispers but is going to come through later. And I did think of chucking it. I thought of chucking it many times. I suffered really from homesickness when I moved away from my parents. I suffered when you move out of your digs and you've got to live on your own. There are so many challenges of being a professional athlete that guy down the pub who says, I could have done it. Yeah, you know what? He may have had the talent, he may have had the physique, but they're only facets of what it takes to sustain it for 20, 30 years. When you see these guys that play hundreds and hundreds of games over decades, it takes something beyond that to blend it all together, which is really, really difficult to do.
Well, I'm sure Middlesbrough are definitely regretting that decision all these years later on, mate. So,
I'm not sure. The guy a year older than me was a guy called Jamie Pollock, who we played for the same Sunday League side, who was very good. And the guy a year younger than me is a guy called Philip Stamp. So they both went and played for Middlesbrough's first team. So I can't actually be really mean and say I did X, Y, and Z, and they're gonna be disappointed. I would much rather look at what I did and say I sit separate to them. I just have to be content with me and what I did. And I think that's something I really learned at York early.
You played over 100 games with York.
Yep.
But how would you kind of summarise your time there? Like, with success, was there much success with York? Was
Yeah.
it?
It was really good because I had some good academy guys coming through, some really good senior pros. So Harvey Barnes, who plays at Newcastle now, his dad was in the same team. So his dad's a centre forward. We had loads of guys from my youth team coming through. We had a nice blend, but nothing was ever given. You had to earn everything all the time, and they were on you every single day. So I made my debut at Port Vale, and I got halved the first time I touched the ball. I was playing as a little tricky winger. I've jinked outside the fullback, took my touch forward, thinking I'm away. I've got half a pitch to run into. I'm away, and he lifted me off the pitch across the track into the advertising boards, across miles away. And I spent the next 65 minutes trying to get taken off because I could not do it. It was horrific. Every time the ball came to me, I either spooned it out of play or waited for him to smash me again. And it took a hell of a lot for me to go, do you know what? I can get to this level because everything's so frantic. But I really credit my teammates. Like the club captain came and gave me a pat on the back and said, don't worry about it. Everyone at their first really, really struggles. You've got this. You've got this. But we're only going to trust you when you get to 100 games. So I'm like, whoa, that's half a game I've done there. He went, no. By the time you get to 100 games, you'll have settled. You'll be at the start of a career, but it's not the start of a career until you've played 100 games. So from that moment, I chased to 100 games. I wanted to get to 100 games because then I thought I can actually hold my head up in this company and actually feel like I belong, like I would have a voice. And there were significant way markers along that journey that I really remember that really stand out to me, that make me feel as though I belonged in that. So we beat Man United away at Old Trafford 3-0. And then they brought everyone out for the second game. And I missed that game. I missed that game through injury. So in the last minute of that game, we're 3-0 up. Dean Kiley kicks the ball to me on the halfway line. And as I jump to go and head it, the whistle blows. And as I'm in the air, Dennis Irwin just shifts out of the way a little bit. I roll over his back and tear my medial ligament. So I'm on the floor on the halfway line screaming. The rest of the guys have sprinted down the length of the pitch, dived in the goal in front of our fans, having a great time. And I am absolutely in pieces on the halfway line, with my knees hanging off. And the lads didn't realise. The lads didn't know. So I missed the next game. Cantona was playing, Andy Cole, Ryan Giggs, Bruce, Palace, all of them. And I missed it. And I was gutted, but once again, you get knocked down and you need to get back up again. The next year we played Everton. We knocked them out and I scored the winner. And I'm thinking, right, okay, so I've gone from here to here, back to there again. But I'm still the same person. And I thought that year there was a real year of growth to me, to realise how hard and how harsh the game actually is.
It's also a good testament to yourself, though, mate, that you've had all these setbacks and you just kept going and going, no giving up. You know, obviously, that's something else that I'm sure that you pass on to other, kids now. Not give up, just keep going. But obviously, after your time at York, you moved to Reading in 1998.
Yeah.
How did that move come about?
It was in the summer. I got a phone call from the club at York. We've had a bid. We're going to accept the bid. You need to come in. We need to talk about it. I can't tell you who it is, but they're building a new stadium. Now, the only people I can think of building a new stadium at that time are Reading. I go in, have a chat. We agreed the deal. Fly down with my girlfriend, who's now my wife. And I go meet Tommy Burns, God rest him, and Packy Bonner and Steve Keane. And they put a high-vis jacket over my brand new suit that I've bought, crash helmet on, walk in the middle of the Medeski, which is now a select car leasing stadium. And Tommy simply said, can you see yourself playing here? Do you want to play here? And I was like, yeah, 100%. And I phoned my old man, and my old man, as you do, raging Celtic fan, obviously. All he wanted to know was who the manager was. So it's Tommy Burns. Went, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. He's an absolute gentleman. You will be fine. Go. So I went, and I had an absolute nightmare for Tommy's time there. I found it I got injured at the start of pre-season, missed a lot, came back, played 9 games where I was starting to feel myself getting to the level that I want to be at, and I dislocated my ankle. I was out for 9.5 months. And then as I was coming back, Tommy was sacked, unfortunately. And this is the measure of that man. So I'm his signing, his big signing. And I played 9 games or so. And I heard he's been sacked. And I go in and I knock on his office door. I said, Gaffer, I'm really sorry. And he went, Mertz, don't you worry about me, son. Just you make sure everyone sees the player that I know you can be. And I was like,
Wow.
You've just been punted up the road and you're thinking about me. I'm not sure I'm that big a guy. That was phenomenal to me about how you conduct yourself. And just to look at that and to understand the character of the person. He challenged me then to go and play for Scotland. And I got into the Scotland squad and we played Wales and we're training at Cardiff. And Tommy's the assistant manager. And we're doing a shooting drill, chip it into the coach's hand, you run up, he throws it up and you shoot at the goal. Chipped it into his hands, he caught it. He went, oh, here he is. He's the guy that got me the sack for Reading, and shanked I was like, yeah, fair enough. I deserved that, but
I get absolute shivers just listening to that story there, man.
It really humbled me that someone of that standing could have that consideration for a young person. And I won't hear a word said against him, ever.
It seems like a common theme when people talk about Tommy Burns. It's always like he was putting other people ahead of himself, and he was always good with like motivation or inspiration and stuff like that. So it's mostly I've heard it from the Celtic side, but it's weird to hear it from. Well, it's great, not weird, sorry, but it was great to hear it from your side.
Well, I think a lot of people have a perception before you meet someone about what they're going to be and how they're going to interact and what they're going to do, and they base it on certain markers. I remember we went to the Children's Hospital in Glasgow, and there's a young boy called Nathan there who's just had a heart op, and we're putting the Christmas decorations up, and he thought it was hilarious to give me a high five, and I'd fake the high five hitting me in the face, and I'd hit the deck, and his laughter was phenomenal. It's one of the most treasured memories I've got from my time in Scotland. And I remember one of the first comments was, someone said on Twitter, it's a proper Rangers man. And I was like, no, let's get this twisted. I just want to be a proper person. I want to be a proper person. I want to be conducting myself in a manner that wherever I am, I represent my family, my parents properly. And if I can conduct myself half as well as I think Tommy did, then yeah, I think that would be something definitely to aspire to. That got a bit deep. I do apologise, but
no, that's brilliant, mate.
That's really, not too bad.
It's fantastic, man. Honestly, great to hear that story. So obviously you played in that big game, mate. Where I actually want to ask you this question. You played against QPR to get the 106 points for Reading that season. Why is it you took that penalty?
Because I was the only outfield player that hadn't scored.
I thought that.
Everyone else had scored. Like, even I played most of the games, but even guys who'd been on the bench, guys who'd been in the squad, they'd all scored. Like the couple of games before, I was in the stand, he was resting some people, and we got a penalty. And Steve Coppell knew I'd been practicing penalties for like a month solid. We got a penalty, and he's looking around to find where the players are sitting in the box. And we got a penalty, and I'm fuming because I've got my suit on and I'm not on the pitch. And he just waved at me. I was raging. I was livid because I'd missed my chance. And every time I got the ball for the last 6 games, my parents came and my dad's like, why are they booing you? I said, no, they're shouting shoot. Wherever I got the ball on the pitch, they could throw it and they shout and shoot at me. So I was taking penalties, and there was no doubt if we got one, exactly what I was going to do. The routine was the same. The area was going to be the same. But the thing that people most remember, and I showed when I first came to Sunderland, I showed the lads it. I showed the celebration where I battered the mascot. So the mascot had been giving me dogs abuse for like 6 weeks, saying, you're not going to score. You're going to be the only person in this record-breaking team that's not scored because you're paining me. I was just like, just wait. You're getting it. You are getting it. Like, you're going to get it. So if you see a score, and I just point at him, and he takes off running, and then we all just absolutely batter him. And that was him. He retired after. He didn't do it again after that. I finished him off. So that there was me just going, I need to score. I managed to do it. And I've just experienced something very similar. Like, I never thought I would get that. And if someone wrote that script, it'd be really cheesy. Only person not to score, I'm the captain, and we get the records point total in the championship, right? No one would have believed that. It was the perfect season. And I've just watched one of the players I worked a lot with in this season, Tommy Watson, score in the 95th minute at Wembley. With his last touch he'll ever have, he'll have in this time for Sunderland. Kid who's been at the academy since he was a wee one, all the way through. And he scores, and we've just sold him for multiple £1 million to Brighton. And he signed off like that. And I was like, oh my God, if you could write the story for Tommy, for the person that he is, it could not have gone any better for him. And it was wow. I got goosebumps watching it. I was so pleased for him. And I thought, do you know what, that time when things converge for you in your life, I don't think that they can ever be taken away from you. And I don't think anyone would ever do it in so public a way as Tommy did. I thought that for him was a phenomenal thing, and it took me back to mine.
What did it mean to you personally, but obviously with your ups and downs through your career, leading Bredon to the historic points tally and leading them to the Premier League?
I never thought I'd get there. I never thought when I left Middlesbrough and when I started at York, I never thought I would have the opportunity, because you see these guys, you watch these guys match of the day, and football people tend to be football people regardless of the job they're doing, right? So we all watch match of the day, or you all watch sports scene, and you all look at these guys who are playing at the highest level, and you think, wow, now I'm playing it in the sport, and I'm thinking I am miles away from that. I will never get there. And then you progress and you do a little bit better, and we get promoted to the Championship. And I'm thinking, that was on the last day of the season as well. And I'm thinking, right, okay, what's the next step going to look like? And we acclimatized to that really well. Now you grow into it. Now you're actually being someone who's a regular high-level performer at that level, right? What's the next step look like? And every now and again, you get a cup game against West Ham or against Chelsea or people like that, and you get to see them. But the very, very first day we played Middlesbrough at the Select Car at the Midday Ski. So I'm playing the team that have released me in the Premier League for Reading's first ever game in the Premier League. And we go 2-0 down. And I was like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. And we came back and won 3-2. So our first ever game in the Premier League was against my hometown club that released me as a kid. And we've just beaten them 3-2 in the Premier League. And I was like, oh my God, that is a phenomenal thing. I never thought I'd do it. That just makes it so special.
It's like you said, like it's the script that was written in the stars type of thing.
Yeah, I thought the script was right out the window when we went 2-0 down, by the way. I thought it was going to be horrific. But
Did you notice Sorry. Did you notice the massive difference in like a level when you're up to the Premier League there?
Yeah, you do. And I think it's even more now. Just the physicality of everyone. I try to talk to my young lads about it, about the level of physicality and the tempo and the high level of quality. I remember standing in a tunnel against Portsmouth, and I'm 5'11" on a good day, and I'm 82 kilos and 6% body fat. And I'm thinking, I'm as fit and as strong as I've ever been. Right, let's get this. We can do this. And I turn to my left. You've got Sol Campbell, David James, Papa Bouba Diop, Herman Horizon, Kanu, Benjani, all the way to the back. There's no one under 6'3", and they're all bang. And I'm like, oh my good God, we got beat 7-4 that day. So still a record in the Prem. But when we see people like that, we're going to see it. Our lads are going to see it this year. When you see Mo Salah up close, when you see Virgil van Dijk, when you see Darwin Núñez, they're looking as you see them on Match of the Day or on Sky, wherever, they look normal. But it's like watching basketball players. They only look normal in comparison to other people of that level. Whenever you see a basketball player stood next to a regular person, he's up here, isn't he? That's exactly the same. And my moment of that was playing against Cristiano Ronaldo, and I'm thinking, this guy's arguably one of the top 2 players in the world at the minute. He is huge. He's deep. He's strong. He is so quick. And I have to be at 10 out of 10 to have a chance. And if he's 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10 maybe, well, maybe for him 6 out of 10, I've got a chance. But if I fall off in any way, I'm going to get rinsed. Because the Premier League is so harsh an environment that if you are not quite there, you and your team are going to get absolutely murdered. And it's so ruthless and so uncompromising that I think that's why it's the hardest league in the world. When you go and you try and impose yourself physically, you realize that even though you're going to be intense and focused and close to people and putting them under pressure, they can physically cope with it. And while they're physically coping with you putting them under pressure, they're technically good enough to hide the ball, and they're so tactically engaged and intelligent that they can still make really, really good decisions regardless of the physical level of pressure you put them under. So down in the Championship, if you put someone under a physical level of pressure, you can probably impact their decision-making or their quality. You can't tend to do that in the Prem.
It's funny you mention that, actually. Sorry.
Go on.
I was watching a podcast with Matt Jarvis the other day,
Yeah.
and he was talking about that. How you get more time. He said you get more time in the Championship. No, sorry, that's the wrong way about it. You get less time in the Championship, but you're able to do more with it than when you go into the Premier League. You actually get more time in the ball, but it's harder to get by defenders and create something.
I keep on saying to our guys, like, we've got young people who are really quick. That's great, fantastic. Everyone in the Prem is really quick. So if you being really quick is your thing, you need to be ridiculously quick, like Theo Walcott quick, for it to be a decisive difference. And you're not. Well, I could be. No, listen to me, kid. With the best will in the world, you're not. Right? You might be, but you're not yet. So what we need to do is add another. We need to bolt another capacity onto you. Right? And if you've only got the 1 foot, then your foot better be like Messi's left. Because if it's not that good, then they're going to find a weakness. And what the Premier League players and the international players are like is the capacity to work you out. So you go against a winger and you're a fullback, he will know within the first 5 minutes whether you can turn off your left foot or not. If you can't turn off your left foot, you're going to get done. He's going left. So that's why that's as simple as it is. And when you look at people like Paul Scholes play, you can't go and put pressure on Paul Scholes. Very similar to Billy in the fact that you go and press him, he's just going to play one touch because he's always got an exit first time. See, if you don't go and press him, he is going to absolutely laser the ball all over the pitch, and you're going to get pulled apart. And if your structure is wrong and you can't go and get pressure on the ball, you are just going to be pulled, because the person he's passing it to is either Ryan Giggs or Ronaldo. So you're now going to have to suffer on one hand because you haven't done something else. So the thing for me was the level is so high, particularly when you look at Man City and Liverpool and people like that. The level when they take someone off the pitch doesn't drop significantly. Whereas when you come further down the league, you might have your best players are your top 6 players, say, they can compete. Your next 5 players are good players at the level. If player 12 to 20 are significantly worse, then whenever those people are added to the mix, and that's not decrying those guys at all, that's just where we are, then the Premier League is so ruthless, they'll go, we've got a gap here. And at Championship level, I say to the young lads, you can get away with making probably 1 or 2 mistakes in a row, and you get away with it. You make 2 mistakes in a row in the Premier League, it's a goal. You make 1 mistake in a Champions League, it's a goal. And a lot of the time, you don't even have to make a mistake. They're just going to score anyway, because they're that good. You have to be able to accept that and then bounce back again.
Right. At your time in Reading, you got a testimonial. Was it meant to be against Celtic due to your dad being a big Celtic fan?
I worked really hard to get it done. The people I had with me tried to work really hard to get it done. I faced some outside pressures, so we say, without wanting to go too far into it, that meant that certain people in the Reading environment, not the club, but the area, didn't want that influx of fans, which ironically I would have absolutely loved to come and fill the stadium. But I couldn't get it. But they would not allow me to have a permit to host that game.
I was just thinking it's a bit crazy now when you look at your whole career that you could have potentially played against Celtic, then later on down the line you coach a team against Celtic. Yeah, it's a bit.
It's not as ironic as me going to meet my family in Glasgow, and my cousin turned up in a full Lee Griffith outfit. she spent the next 45 minutes decrying my life choices for who I work with. So I got dogs abuse for that and all. Everyone on my dad's side of the family there, Celtic fans. My mum's side of the family, they're all Newcastle fans. So I've just got a habit of going the wrong way. I'm getting sick from all over the place.
After the testimonial that you ended up going on loan to Charlton. How did that come about, mate? And how was your time there?
Well, in the second season of the Premier League, I wasn't playing. I'd had a couple of injuries in pre-season, and Phil Parkinson, who was the captain at Reading when I first went there, he's the manager of Charlton. He went, I need you to come in, Murts. So over I go, and ironically, the week that I signed the arrangement, I think Liam Rossini gets sent off, who's playing right back at the time for the club. Sorry, this is in the Championship, and I'm like, if I hadn't have gone, I'd definitely be playing now. But I'm here now. I need to carry on. By that stage, I was really struggling with my calves. My calves kept on tearing. In that season, I tore my calves 8 times, four each side, and I couldn't get fit. I could not get a run of games to get my conditioning right, to get my level right. I ended up going and seeing someone at the end of that season before I went to Southampton, and he basically brutalized my calves. He just tried to strip out all of the scar tissue in my calves and release them off, and that was agony for 4 or 5 weeks before I then went to Southampton and signed with them. But getting to Charlton was brilliant. Like Parky just said, Murts, I need you in the change room, I need you on the pitch, let's go. I showed flashes of the real me, I think, but I don't think they ever got to see what I would categorize myself as a player.
I know you touched on it a wee bit already, but your Scotland call-ups, how did that feel to you? Did you feel more Scottish? I know obviously that sounds a bit ridiculous, but did you always grow up feeling more Scottish than you did English?
Yeah. Me and my dad against my mum and my sister.
Was it Walter Smith called you up a couple of times?
He did. Bertie did. Walter Smith was brilliant. We went to Japan, won the Kirin Cup with him, which was phenomenal. That bit there was my first foray into playing wing back. Never again, by the way. Never again. It's just a license to run up and down the wing and not touch the ball. It's just horrid. Like, what are we doing? Murts, you go and stand there. What I want you to do for 90 minutes is run up and down in Japan in 80% humidity and 30-degree heat. Do you think you can do that? No, you're going to do it anyway. Off you go. Ran up and down. I marked Martin Petrov in the first game against Bulgaria, and then played Japan, and that was eye-opening. Going and being in the stadium and the stadium shaking for an hour before kickoff because all the fans are just bouncing up and down the whole time. Well, it was incredible. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I would go back tomorrow. I thought as a place it was phenomenal. The way we were treated was phenomenal. I loved it. I thought it was great.
It's a tough opponent to come up against there, but as well, Martin Petrov, he was rapid.
Rapid, by the way. Rapid. And see when you're just doing doggies up and down the pitch and he's just chilling on the wing. That's not fair, because by the time you get to him, he's fresh as a daisy. It's horrid. I'm a big advocate for banning substitutes for wingers in the last 15 minutes of games because it's not fair on the fullback. It's just horrible. He spent 75 minutes going head to head with an international winger, and then they bring another one on. It's just not right. Should be banned. But that was for me. That was what my career was all about. Was my career allowing me and affording me the opportunity to go to places I never thought I'd go. To go and play at Old Trafford, to go and play in South Korea, to go and play in Japan, to go play in Georgia, to go to the US with Rangers, to go to Hong Kong with Rangers under 21s, to go and play in the Sevens tournament. You know, I've been to some phenomenal places, and I will be immensely grateful always. And I really struggle. And my players know this. I really struggle with people who take that for granted and aren't grateful. I really appreciate people who live in gratitude rather than expectation of something because of their status, because they are a footballer, because they've done X, Y, or Z. I still feel as though that gratitude should always be there. And I think if you came and saw us work in the Academy of Light, you would see a lot of very, very grateful people who are humble and work really hard. And I would include our first team in that. I think that is one of the key characteristics of, I think, a rounded person who can live within that gratitude and really go and experience it, because I never thought I would get that opportunity. And some of the best experiences of my life have just been come through being grateful and accepting the challenge for what it is, not having an expectation of playing or starting or being selected, but being grateful to be there and then going and proving that person who selected me made a good decision, and really trying to back that up by my attitude when I'm there.
Really refreshing to hear that. You know, the humble and gratitude and stuff like that. I think it's something missing in today, definitely. But going back to your playing career, you ended up going to Southampton for a handful of games.
Yeah.
What happened there, mate? How was that?
9 really good games. 9 really good games is what happened. It takes some people 2 or 3 years to get 9 good games in. I went and I did pre-season with them, and Alan Pardew came in, and I'd worked with Pards at Reading, and then he comes in. I'm like, oh, I thought I'd got away from him. And he's coming in, and he was completely different from anyone that the Southampton players had ever seen. So I'm watching him, and Southampton's a brilliant club, by the way. It's a phenomenal club. It's a really nice club, and the players were really nice. Players like Adam Lallana, Morgan Schneiderlin, you know, people of that ilk were lovely footballers. And Pards thought they needed something. So I'm stood on the sidelines, done my training session, stood on the sidelines, and I'm looking at Pards. And I'm talking to the guys who are watching. I went, someone's getting it. That we're on about. Session's going really well. Someone's getting it in a minute. They're like, no. So here we go. Lo and behold, stop! And he goes off on one. And he rinses someone. And he goes, and it's properly like 10 out of 10. You will never play for me ever again if you beep. You stood there going, yeah. It was about Jude, because now he's going to make his mark and he's going to pick you. You're the one today. And don't take it personally, because you can't. He's just sending a message to the entire squad. I'm the boss. This is what we're going to do. And he did. He went in and went bang. So that for me was kind of refreshing, because I knew what I was going to get. It was kind of eye-opening for the other guys. And for me, it was familiar to have that in a new surrounding. So a really big club, really loads of opportunity for growth because of the new business model they'd put in. I'm thinking, right, I'm getting on the ground floor here. The scope for growth is exponential. This is a Premier League team. So I'm walking in there going, this is a Premier League team, and we're in League One. This needs to go and go bang. And then 9 games in, I dislocate my ankle again. I block a shot from David Connolly in training. If you imagine, I'm moving to my left, and his big thing was to cut in and put the ball between your legs when he shot. So I've watched him in training. I know he's going to do it. So as he does it, he shoots, he goes through your legs. But I've left my left foot to block it. So I blocked it. The ball hits my foot, stays. My foot then rolls that way. My knee comes in, and my shin drops down and just destroys everything in my ankle. And I just blink and hit the deck, and I'm like, I can't feel anything from my knee down. What's happened? And the lads have just run over. Mertz, you happened? You all right? I'm like, what's happened? They went, we don't know what your leg did. Your leg's done something weird. And I'm like, I can't feel my leg. Pards being Pards, they lift me up, take me to the back of the goal. We carry on training. So I'm behind the goal. There's all these balls flying into the goal. And I'm like, and then feeling starts to come back at my ankle, and my ankle's just on fire. It's burning. Physio gets there, chucks me on the cart, gets me up to the treatment room. He goes, Murch, what are you feeling? He went, oh, it's just on fire. It feels like I'm burning in my ankle. And he went, I really hope you've broken your ankle. And I was like, that's really harsh, by the way. He went, no. Because if you've broken your ankle, you'll be 6 weeks. If you haven't broken your ankle, you're going to be a long time. So I'm devastated. Get the MRI done, go and see the surgeon. Surgeon's like, it's not looking good. We'll know more when we go in. And I had a bit of a dispute with the club that I don't think it's right to bring up, but something that affected me a little bit about how you are dealt with, which I think has informed me going forward. But I go and I see the surgeon. The surgeon is a brilliant person. Who the hospital is in my village where I live. Go in, have the operation, and he says, right, okay, so basically the bits holding your foot to your ankle, yeah, there was nothing there. It was all gone. We've had to take some tendon from the back of your hamstring. We've had to create 2 new ligaments in your foot just to hold your foot in place. You're going to be a long time. So as I come round from the surgery, my wife's there, and she's like, he can help around the house though, can't he? No, he's in bed for 6 weeks. But surely he can do this, right? No, he can go to the toilet, he can go to the shower, he's gone back to bed. That's it. The day I get out of hospital, she hides the morphine that they've given me because she doesn't want me to be addicted to morphine. So I've never seen any of the morphine that I was supposed to have because she thought that aspirin and paracetamol were more than enough for me to take. So whenever I was in pain, I got a paracetamol rather than the big bit of morphine that I really wanted. So I'm still salty about it now, by the way. But for 6 weeks, I'm bored out of my head. And I didn't have any contact with the club really, a little bit, touching base with the physio and that. I come out of cast thinking, thank God, I can start to walk and start to rehab. Why is my ankle bright red? And why is it hot? Why? What? Phone the physio. Mo, they're away. They're in a away game. Mo, there's something not right with my ankle. Despite it's out of cast. Mo, it's red. I sent him a picture and he's like, right, okay, I need to phone the surgeon. Phones me back. You're in at the hospital at 7:30 tomorrow morning. Karen drives me down to the hospital, see the surgeon. Surgeon looks at my foot. He was, okay, there's an infection in your foot. I have to say this, worst case scenario, I'm taking your foot off.
Wow.
Sorry? Best case scenario, we've caught it. Middle case, I have to go in because it's destroyed all the surgery. I need to redo it again. But we won't know. We're going to spend a week pumping some drugs into you, some fairly high dose drugs, and we'll see where we are. So I go straight into a room, get given a high dose of drugs through a cannula, and then for the next 5 days, I'm in hospital. Every 3 hours, the drugs run out, and every 4 hours, they've got to restart it, but they've got to start to find another vein because it's burning your veins. So every 3 hours, it stops. And then an hour later, someone comes in to do another dose. So 5 days I spend there not knowing what's happening. They take my bloods at the end of it. They think, yeah, we've caught it. You're all right. We can start to rehab now. And in that time, I didn't hear from anyone at the club.
Wow.
And that's one of the lowest points I've ever had. It was horrid. So credit to my wife and my family for keeping me sane, but that was a real challenge. So then I start to come back, start to run. This isn't right. Something's happened. Feels like I'm getting stabbed in my foot. My foot hits the floor when I'm running. They go back in and have to excise a nerve out of my ankle because it's become inflamed or trapped or it's not right. So I've had to take that out. In total, I was out for 18 and a half months. And I was out of contract for 10 of those, 11 of those, I think. I rehabbed, I got back, and I managed to play a game for Southampton before they released me. And they said, that's as far as we're going to go, Mertz. You're not at the level. Because during the time I was doing that, they've been promoted twice. They've been promoted to the championship, and it's really hard to get in that team, even if I'm fit, which I wasn't. And then they're going to go again. They're going to go to the Premier League again. So I'm watching the club. The club that I saw had loads of this growth, then went and did it brilliantly and got promoted twice. And thankfully, I spent a lot of time around the staff, got to know the staff, got to know the coaching, got to see the academy, top-rate academy, by the way. And I kind of started to help in the academy. Still wanted to play, though. So I went to Aldershot, just down the road from where I live, and I'm trying to get fit. And I can do this. I can play. My ankle's sound. I'm back. I just need to get fit. Just about to talk to the chairman about a deal, playing a practice match. The lad hits a shot, hits my hand here, pulls my arm down, snap my arm across there. So if you imagine my arm's there, my hand is now down here. So I go back in. I go back in to see the doc, and she says, I'm going to inject you, give you some gas and air. You'll feel it pop, and then we'll clunk it back down on your hand. Wrap it in the cast, go home. As I walk through the door, and I'm as low as I've ever been. Got black cast on, sparkly, because I'm going to the Christmas do at Southampton later on. Walk through the door. My daughter stood there, always happy to see me. Got a lolly in her mouth. Daddy, don't you think it's time you did something else? Walked off. I was like, yeah, you might be right, kid. That's me done. I can't do it no more. The body's telling me it's time. And I was really, really, really thankful that I had the opportunity to interview and go into Southampton's academy as a coach.
Yeah, so you ended up getting into Southampton.
Yeah.
Before that, actually, it's really mad how something so innocuous can just do that to your career, isn't it? You know, obviously all that time out just in training.
I've seen it. So that's why I find it really challenging when people have a go at players who are injured. And we've all done it. And you look at it and go, I can't believe he's injured again. I can't believe this. There's no one as devastated as an injured athlete. No one. No matter what you said and how low you feel and how bad you feel about that person, you will never, ever understand the psychological challenge they're going through. Honestly, I see it. I see lots of really, really young athletes get really scarred and really low, and they just need a massive amount of support. And I don't think football's getting better. I don't think it's very well set up to support that. I've got a young man in my team who did his cruciate and his 10 minutes, came on a sub, did his other one. So he'd been out for 10 months and played 10 minutes and then did his other one. How do you pick that kid up? How do you pick that kid up? How can you, with your life experience as a fan, possibly deride that kid? Possibly see that in a negative light and say, oh, he's always injured. That kid is heartbroken. He's just put his life on hold for 10 months to be in the gym, to be away from the thing that he loves, to try and get another opportunity. How can you be anything other than empathetic and understand where he's coming from and try to help? I find that really challenging when I hear that from footballers. And actually, I said to the wife when I was still at Rangers, but I'd come away from the first team. In that summer, it was the World Cup, and we're on holiday with Karen's family, and I stood in a bar and I listened to some of the bile and vitriol and horrific language directed at England players by England fans, and I had to get out. I couldn't listen to it. I actually couldn't listen to it without either me losing my rag or having an argument. I just had to go somewhere else, and that was hard for me because I love football, but listening to that level of disdain for someone who's trying to do their best, I found really challenging. So it's fortunate that I had that opportunity to go into the academy, but I just feel that we need a little bit more understanding when people are facing that.
You ended up getting into the academy, mate, 2016.
Yeah.
Was it always an aspiration of yours to become a coach?
I started at York, so I used to coach. I coached at a private school in York when I was playing, and I coached York's under 14s with the first couple of coaches I worked with, Baz and Gary Naylor. I was just learning about coaching there. I went through my courses, and I went in and I realized that I thought I knew a lot about football, but I didn't know how to convey it. I didn't know how I could pass on knowledge to younger people. I didn't know the methods of it. I didn't know what was best for them. And I had a fantastic teaching environment for me within that building. The first person that you talk about is your academy manager. I had one called Matt Crocker, who's now the head of the American Association. And he threatened to sack me in my first six weekly meeting with the players. So he sit down with the players and he talks about what they're doing, and he sit down with mum and dad, and this is what he's doing, this is what he needs to do. So he watches my first three, and he just says to me, if you use the word I from now on, I'm going to sack you. Because all I hear from you is I think, I want, I think, I want, It's not about you. It's about them. Shut up and start talking about what they need. And I was like, what the hell have I just heard there? Like, I've only been here 6 weeks. He's threatening to sack me. I didn't know that's what it was. But it was his way of saying, right, that's not how we do things. That's not how kids learn. It's not about you. And I watch it now. I see lots of young coaches who feel as though it's about their opinion and they have to be the answer. It has to be about what you're telling the kid. And it's really not. It's about creating an environment where the kid is keyed and triggered to learn. And it doesn't have to be from you. It can be through their own experience. It can be for their teammate. It can be whatever, but you have to condition the environment so that it's a really good learning environment for that kid, and you don't have to be the center point. And as a professional athlete where everything has been revolving around me, that's a really, really difficult lesson to learn. It's really hard, but it's one of the best things I ever did was to go there and to learn from people like Matt Crocker, Jason Dodd, Steve Greaves, Martin Hunter, the people around me. And it enabled me to then go and watch Maurizio Pochettino work, Nigel Adkins work. And that was something, once again, living in gratitude is something that you can't buy. You can't buy that experience. So it was brilliant. I loved it.
After your time with Southampton, did you go to Norwich for a wee while? Am I
Yeah,
right? Under
Yeah.
18s coach. Was it just kind of same as Southampton, maybe not as intense because
Very,
they were
very different. Very, very different. So I was the 14s coach and the 16s assistant at Southampton. I was the 16s lead initially, and I was responsible then for 16s, 15s, 14s, 13s, the teams. And then I moved up to do the under 18s. So very, very, very different in terms of what their catchment area is. So the type of people you were bringing in, there's more people coming in from London. In terms of the aspiration of the club, in terms of the way the club was run, coaching methodologies, game style, game model, all of this are all very, very different. And to learn those and to try and understand how you bring them to life is something that I think when you do that, you get to realize there's more than that way. They called it the Southampton way. Well, that's all right. Well, I helped some really, really high operators look at what Norwich did. So Dimitri, who was doing the 21s coach, is now the academy manager at Ipswich. Greg, who was the academy manager at Norwich, is now the technical director of Chicago Fire. So that level of personnel is now feeding into me about what we're going to do and how we're going to shape this and move it forward. And that time in Norwich, and by the way, what an absolutely stunning place to live. Incredible place. Brilliant place to go and watch Alex Neil coach. Talk about him in a sec. But unbelievable place to live. Phenomenal people. Great club. And once again, you get the benefit. I get to watch Norwich play every week. And I get to talk to Alex Neil and Frankie McAvoy and about what they're doing and how they're going to do it. Because he'd deliver it. Alex will just tell you, we're doing this. We're doing it. We're doing this, and we're doing this for this reason. And I watched him coach a team of Norwich dismantle Middlesbrough in the playoff final. I took rank as the manager, and Alex Neil coached his team so well, they performed their function so well that they got promoted. And I don't think he gets enough credit for that because his scheme and the way he did it and the way he coached it was really demanding, but was really, really, really effective. So I got to learn from that experience as well. I got to work with someone that you guys have seen lately, Todd Cantwell. Todd Cantwell was in my youth team. So people in Scotland phone me up. Graeme, journalist, I want you to give your opinion on Todd Cantwell before he goes to Rangers. Nope. You don't need my opinion about Todd. Form your own. I think you'll love him because he's a term I learned when I was in Glasgow. He's gallus as hell. Right? He's a wee gallus guy. I actually had to kick him out of the under-18s because he was becoming a pain. He was becoming disruptive because it wasn't challenging enough for him. So I went to my boss, who's Dimitri. D, you need to take Todd. He's been a nightmare. You need to take him. So we bumped him up. And this is hard. This is where you have to put your ego to one side. He's been a pain in my session. He's not really developing as we think he might. He's not really trying as hard as he might. That's not his fault. The environment isn't challenging enough for him. Put your ego to one side. It's not that you're not a good coach. It's that we need to do something different for that kid's learning. Right? He needs to go and train with them. So off you go and train with the 21s. So he struggled for 3 weeks, and then he was their best player as well. Same as Luke Shaw. When Luke Shaw was at Southampton, you can't stress him in the 18s and 21s. Put him in the first team. He's going to struggle for 3 weeks, then he's going to be fine. So when we do that, and when you put that to the side and actually make it about the kids learning, I think the club function better, and the kid gets a better learning experience. And then you see Todd really, really, really kick on. And I was a little bit disappointed. I don't think you saw Todd at his best. I thought you saw flashes of him, but I don't think you saw him as good as he could be.
Well, obviously, after your time at Norwich, you ended up coming up here. You came up to Glasgow, mate, to coach at Rangers. How did that come about, and how was your time as a coach there?
I spoke to Craig Mahond, and he was talking about what they were trying to do, and the fact that they found the competition level in Scotland quite challenging for a talented group of players. I think we take it for granted a little bit, because at my team this year, we've played against Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United, Man City, Villa, Leeds, Spurs. We play against all that level of opposition. We play against them every week. And I think that's a massive advantage. I really do. I think that it's something that is lacking for some of the teams in Scotland. I don't think they can compete. I think that level would test any team in Europe. So if you're an under-18 team at Real Madrid and you're playing against that level of opposition every week, I think they would really enjoy it. It would really flourish. I think if you bought the 22 best players in Scotland, formed two teams and dropped them into the Category 1 programme in England, I think they'd have a great time. I think it would do wonders for their development. I honestly do. But Craig said we want to take them out of Scotland. We want to take them around Europe. We want to take them around Europe. We want to pitch them against the best. We'll give you a budget. This is what we're looking at. So I came up, looked at the club, and the main reason I chose coming up was I wanted to understand what it was like, not only to be in a coaching environment and a development environment, which is what Southampton and Norwich are, also with the caveat of being, this is Rangers and you have to win. Because there's no uncertain terms about that, is there? This is Rangers, you have to win. Doesn't matter who you're playing. You're expected to win. So I wanted to experience that and put myself under that pressure. And in my first week at the club, I said to Craig, and he still alludes to it now, I said, have we got the best players in Scotland, in the best facility in Scotland, with the best curriculum in Scotland, with the best coaches in Scotland? Because if we haven't, what the hell are you doing? And he kind of stopped. He's like, you can't talk to me. I'm your boss. You can't talk to me like that. I was like, but that's the question. I'm new. I'm fresh. This is what I'm thinking Rangers need to be. And it kind of took him aback. I think it played in his mind. So that was the idea. Whenever you put people in place and whether you push for facility change and you push for innovation in your program, that was the marker. That's what we tried to be. And that's what excited me about going. And I loved it. I loved the challenge of it. And I loved the learning that I got from the players. We played Inverness at home. We're playing at Stirling, obviously, which I don't know how that's at home, but anyway. So we're playing, and for 15 minutes, for 20 minutes, we're like, wow, I'm thinking, all right, so we're flying, doing really well. And then it went completely. I've never seen anything like it. It went. went from being able to zip the ball about to not being able to pass the ball 5 yards. So instead of trying to pass it 5 yards, we're now trying to play 50-yard diags everywhere. And for 25 minutes, we're horrific. I'm scratching my head. I'm like, I've not changed. Davey's not. What? I have to find out. So I go in and I sit down and I ask him, I said, fellas, 20 minutes, brilliant. I said, what happened? And credit to the environment that you create. Max Ashmore, who's still at the club now, brilliant person. He said, Mert, this is Rangers. If we're not 1-0 up after 20 minutes, something's gone wrong. Oh, and I was like, what? He went, yep. If we're not 1-0 up after 20 minutes, something's gone wrong. And that was a concept I've never seen, ever. So I was like, right, I need to wrap my head around the scale of this club and actually the expectation. Lo and behold, I go and watch the first team when Mark's taking the team at home. And I think we're playing Ross County. And for 20 minutes, we've been unbelievable. They've not gone out of their half, let's say. And haven't scored, but controlling the game. Ross County haven't had anything. Bang on 20 minutes. First sound in the crowd. And you saw some people just go, oh, I'm not sure I like that. And it affected some of the players and you could see it. And I sat with Craig and he went, Max is right. We need to help our players now. We need to help our players get over this hurdle of 20 minutes. How do we do it? And that spent, right, we need to go away and actually look at conditioning our players to deal with it when the crowd aren't happy or we haven't scored or our expectation hasn't been met. How do we get them to deal with that disappointment and handle that pressure? Because they're going to deal with it. And ironically, there's a quote in the tunnel at the other place. I won't say it because I don't want to. It says that the shirt will not shrink to fit a lesser player. You have to grow into the shirt, and that's something that I believe is true, and it's been true through my career. When I made my debut against Port Vale, I shrank. I was not enough. I was not big enough to fill that shirt. And I think wherever you are, you will see it with some of the best players in the world. I think the shirt sometimes becomes a little bit big and a little bit heavy for people. And that was a real interesting challenge, I think, for me. I really, really enjoyed that part of it, dealing with that ego side of it with the players.
After you joined the academy, you get put up to caretaker manager. How did that all come about? Obviously, Warburton left.
Yeah, I was at the Warriors watching the rugby. I got a phone call from Craig again, Mulholland. Where are you? I'm at the rugby. Don't let anyone see you leave. So there's 5,000 people in the crowd, Craig. Am I supposed to do, turn invisible or what? You need to come to Ibrox. All right, okay. Right, okay. Are you okay? Is everything okay? No, just come to Ibrox. All right. Drive to Ibrox, come in. We want you to take the team. Mark's not going to be at the club. We need you to take the team. Can you do it? So, well, yes, thank you for thinking of me. Can I get Davey with me? Dave McCallum. He went, yeah. I said, how long is this going to be for? And he went, listen, the search is going to start, and you just need to be in there and support the first team, help the first team. Right, okay, yes, yeah, thank you once again. Now mine's going a million miles an hour now. What do I need to do? Who do I need to talk to? What do I need to get set? What time do I need to be in? What do I need to? Right, I need to do this, and this. By the time I'm in the car driving away, my wife's already heard it's on Sky. So I phone her up, said, babe, I need to, and she goes, down the phone. I can see, are you taking the team? I'm like, yeah, but babe, it's just an interim. I'm like, just let me not panic about this for a minute. All right, let me just deal with this now. And I need to make sure that Mark, Davey, Shadow, they're all right. Like, get in touch with them. And actually, I got so caught up in it, I didn't reach out early enough to those guys and ask if they were all right. And that's something I'm not ashamed of, but I'm disappointed in myself that I didn't do that. That I should have done. I should have been better and made sure that I reached out straight away But I got so caught up in the unbelievable amount of tasks you have to do that I didn't do that. So then the next day I go to drive into the stadium and I've got my wife's people car. I've got a Ford S-Max. I drive to Okinawa. I drive in, there's journalists everywhere, there's cameras everywhere. And no one realised it was me. I just blew straight through the gates. No one expected to be people carrying to come falling through. So I just moseyed on in. No one knew who I was. It was great. And then I had an absolute eye opener in what it means to represent that club at that level, which was the only thing you can really say is wow, to be honest, because it was an absolute wow. So yeah, something that I never expected, but I don't think, if I'm honest, I don't think there are many people in the world that would be able to say no. When you're asked to help out like that, I don't think you can say no.
Well, you said yes, Bryce.
No, I did. Yeah.
I'm assuming at that point though, with the pressure of that and stuff, you must have drew on the things of your past, like, you know, being rejected off Middlesbrough and getting the injuries and, you know, all that. Even just taking that penalty, you know what I mean? Just like you've been in pressure moments before, you've had to, you know, fight for it. So did you draw on all that kind of stuff?
I think that's something that you do personally, but how you broadcast yourself to the group is really important, because footballers are funny things. Footballers are really funny. And I go back to one of the first lessons I learned from Steve Greaves at Southampton. The players will care what you think if they think you care about what they're going to do, right? I get that. But there's an added caveat to that. They'll also listen if they think you're going to help them be successful. If they don't think those two things, you're dead before you start. If they don't think you care about those people and what they're going to do for their next thing, either their next contract or next Saturday for the next game, if they don't think you can help them be successful and you're not credible, you're done. So, right, okay, how do I show this lot that I believe in them, because they're having a hard time at the moment? And how do I also prove that I'm credible and I know what I'm talking about, so they can actually go and try and do the things we're talking about? Right, I need to be really clear. I need to be really understanding. I need to go and bang. And one of the first things we did a simple transfer game and a five-a-side game of we tried to shut one side of the pitch off, and they didn't do it particularly well. And I stopped and I went at them a little bit, and they were kind of like, "Hold on a minute, you're the under-20s coach. You can't talk to us like that. Do you know who we are?" Kind of thing. I was like, "All right, I've asked you to do this. You're not doing it. I'm telling you, do this." So then 2 minutes later, stop. Hang on a minute. Look at that. That's perfect. It's exactly what we asked you to do. You should all do it. So don't you lot tell me you can't do it. Tell me you don't want to do it. That's fine. But don't tell me you can't. And they were kind of like, yeah, fair enough, yeah. Fair enough, yeah. And you're like, it's one of them ones where you're almost, I've caught you at it. And I'm thinking, right, okay, they've just tested me a little bit. I've had a little bite. Fair enough. No harm, no foul. Not gone at anyone personally, but like, this is what I expect. Let's go. And I've got to say, the lads were brilliant with me. They were brilliant with me all the way through. And then it culminated the other place with Clinton Hill, who I texted the other day, actually.
I remember.
You're allowed to say Parkhead on here, by the way. You're allowed to say that.
I'm just winding you up.
So I remember that Clinton Hill game because I was rough as toast, and I was like, I just want to go home. Then that goal went in, and I was like, I definitely want to go home now. All of a sudden, I just want to leave.
That broke my heart that day as well, to be honest.
Oh.
I'm a Celtic fan. Corey's a Celtic fan. Davies, as you can clearly see, a Rangers fan.
I've known Brendan for when is it now?
Who?
I've known him for 20 odd years now. I know him really well, and to do
is that from his time at Reading?
Yeah. So I've known him for so long, and he is all right. He's really successful. He works at a club that is operating well, and they've got a load of resource, but he's done stuff with the resource. But to talk to him on that and actually shake his hand after that game and him to say, yeah, fair play, well done, thinking that's probably one of the best moments I've had to get that goal at Parkhead, and then for them not to give the penalty that you might have got later on. That straight after that was
There's
So
no
you'll
more.
keep
No
about it for
more.
50 years.
I don't know, but
yeah. So it was unbelievable. And then I got to do a different job. So I got to do the 20s job, but I also got to assist and see Pedro work. And that was, for me, that was really different to look different and look at the plan and look at how he schemed it and what he did and how he did his periodization of the days and the weeks through it. And to see the rationale of it was really interesting for me. And the fact that I'm being his kind of assistant and the game finishes and all the guys are sitting in the change room waiting for him to come in. I'm like, fellas, he's not coming back. They're like, what? I said, he's not coming back. He doesn't talk after the game. And like, what? That's not culturally what happens in England and Scotland generally. Generally, the gaff comes in and you do really well, you get a pat on the back and bang the music on, we 2 days off, whatever. You've done bad, you're coming in tomorrow, right? And you're going to be running tomorrow and blah, blah, blah. No, it's not that. All right, boys, see you Monday. And he wouldn't talk about the game at all. And the lads were really confused by that at the start. And I'm like, Gaffy, are you going to go and talk to him? He's like, really surprised. No. Why would I be going in? They're waiting. Why? I'll say to them on Monday. Okay. Walk down, fellas. Get yourselves out of it. So it was really different. And to see that difference was, once again, not right, not wrong, just different. So that was good for me again.
So obviously Pedro left, and then the bat signal came out again, mate, as it always does. So how was the difference? What was the difference between the first time and the second time? Was there a massive difference?
The squad composition was very different. Obviously, there was challenges within the group. We then went and played at Murrayfield, which was very different. Obviously, it's a different kind of stadium. But I thought it was definitely going to be done until someone's going to come in. It's really, really short. That's the time it's going to be. That's going to be it. I'm just minding the shop. So that time I didn't have Davey with me, and I love David McCallum. David McCallum is one of the best human beings I've worked with. He's such a really, really good, genuine guy that I don't think gets the credit that he deserves. But that's my opinion. I had different staff with me, which is fine. It's no problem. So you need to try and work and get that dynamic right, and you need to make sure that everything that you do is really, really smooth for the players. But I'm of the opinion it's going to be, that's it. That's my time. It's going to be an interim, and that's it. Someone's going to be coming in. Great, no problem. We do some really good things. We beat Aberdeen at home, then we go beat Aberdeen away, and I'm certain that's me done. That's my last game. Because we're going to get Derek. Derek's coming in. Derek didn't come in. So I get there. You're still in this week as well. I'm like, really? All right, okay, right, okay. Let's get this sorted. We have the bit to America that's already been set up by Pedro, because we want to go and do the American thing, which was one of the biggest debacles I've ever seen. It was hilarious.
Is that when you seen the photo Tavernier by SpongeBob? That's the one I seen there, in Florida.
Yeah, so we got to Florida.
Yeah.
We fly to New York just as that. You remember when it was the snow bomb hit and everything shut down on the East Coast? So we land and the plane's being delayed. So we've got to run to get on the next plane. And I'm like, the gear's not going to make it. The gear's not going to make it. But I think I've seen this coming. So I've got all of my gear in my carry-on. We get there, nothing turns up. There's no boots, there's no training kit, there's no match kit. Most of the lads' suitcases haven't turned up. And we're going to have to go and train and play. So Jimmy, God rest him, he's up and down the motorway. He's going buying boots for people at the hardware store, and they're not even the good boots. They're the snide knockoff boots that you get. They're plastic ones that aren't quite the Nike proper ones. The lads are looking at them like, what the hell are these? So we go over there and we do that. and the boys were brilliant. The boys were brilliant, and you try to be a good person. So we get to Disney because they get passes into all the parks and everything. And they're like, if you've ever taken a youth group anywhere, they're all like, can we go? Can we go? I'm like, right, fellas, we're back here at 7:00. Oh, come on. All right. All right, we see you back here at 8:30. Yes, off they go. There's people coming back with big bears and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, do you know what? And the mood of the group's really good. It's been all right. It's hit one of the things we wanted. And then we get back and sit down and talk to Mark and Stuart, and they said, listen, we want you to take it to the end of the season. And then if you do really well, you go and be the manager. I'm like, that's not what I signed up for, but all right, off we go. Let's go. And I thought for the first part of that season, after Christmas, I thought we were really good. We were really good up until the Old Firm game at Ibrox. And then it went
And that was your downfall, and that's why they went for someone else?
Yeah, I think so. I think, if I'm honest, even if I don't think we would have won the league, even if we'd have been second and it was really tight, I think they would have brought Stephen in anyway, just because of the kudos of his name. And I can't argue. I'm a Liverpool fan. Stephen Gerrard, for God's sake, and this happens in football. So one of the key things I've had to learn through everything is that the business of the club will always take precedence. So I talked to some of the players here at Sunderland and some of my players, and they're like, "Oh, we need to sort the wages out. Oh, we need to do this. Oh, we need to do." So whoa. Technical director doesn't need to satisfy you. He has to satisfy the big boss. Sunderland just got promoted, and their net spend was negative, minus £1 million. So they're £1 million in profit in terms of their net spend this year, and they got promoted to the Premier League. So, all right, it's been challenging, but the job that the TD's done for the owners is unbelievable. It's ridiculous, and that's the person he has to satisfy. So when I get a phone call saying, "Mertz, we're going to make a change," professionally, personally, really, really, really hard. Really hard. But you have to respect it. And I take a lesson from Pedro. Pedro, the day that he left, came along, shook everyone's hand. Good luck. Thank you. Good luck. Thank you. I'm thinking, you've just been booted, mate. This is the sport. This is how ruthless sport is. It's not personal. It's just the business of the sport. And it takes some people a lot of time. And it was an eye-opener for me, but it's just the way it is. So what it led to was Rangers winning the league again. So can I say that I'm not disappointed? Of course I can't. But Rangers won the league. So you're looking at the business decision. Yeah, makes sense. And the overall appeal of that person coming into the club and the general interest around the globe makes sense. 100%. Because I didn't know how big Rangers and Celtic were globally. I didn't realize the amount of interest around the world, the amount of revenue they generate, the amount of minutes spent online, the rival some of the biggest in the world. I didn't realize that. You get to realize it when you tour, when you go over to Ireland, or when you go to Hong Kong, or when you go to America, wherever you go. Like David McCallum took a team to Doha in Qatar. There's 2 supporters clubs of Rangers fans in Doha in one city because there's that many of them. They're like, wow, the scale and the scope and the regard that the owners have to put in to take care of that and nurture that is something beyond anything I'd seen. And I think that's one of the things I really found hard, was managing so much of the off-field stuff whilst trying to coach. Like I'd walk onto the training pitch with 20 things in my head, and one of them was the training session. Because you've got the media to do, you've got this player to do, you've got that to do, you've got your recruitment to do. And that really compounded when I moved beyond the interim bit, and then I got it to the end of the season. I really got hit with all that then. That was really eye-opening. It was great for me in terms of learning to delegate and move that way, but it was really challenging. But I couldn't, honestly, once again, live in gratitude. I've got to stand on the sideline of Old Firm games. and manage Old Firm games and experience a sound when Josh Winder scored that goal in the Old Firm game that we got beaten, unfortunately. The sound that made is like nothing I've ever heard. Nothing. And I say this to the players all the time. I've been fortunate enough to play at Old Trafford. I've played at the Emirates. I've played at the Millennium Stadium for Scotland. The sound on that game, that when that goal went in, was otherworldly. Was phenomenal. It is one of the seminal moments of what I've done so far.
See, the second time when they said, Graeme, you've got this job to the end of the season, do you believe that you 100% had the backing of the players?
I go back to it. If the players believe in you, if they believe that you think and care about them, if they believe you can make them successful, you'll have them. So what I think and what they think are completely different. I expect that you're going to be a professional athlete and you're going to do your level best. Do I think that they did? Overall, yeah, I do. But
What ones didn't?
sorry?
What ones didn't?
No pressure.
Just tried
You're
it.
trying to trap me now. I got asked on a radio station to say, listen, we need to go into this. I went, no, we don't. No, we don't. I stand by what I said at the time. I stand by how I delivered myself and how I acted. And I can look myself in the mirror. So regardless of anything else, was I content that I did what I was employed to do to the best of my ability? Yeah, I do. And the only thing I would say is there's so many people out there now. I think you saw it recently with Dwight Gale. There's so many opportunities to give other people a bashing without the right of reply. I think it's actually quite cowardly. I would never bash anyone on here where they're not sitting there and I'm not man enough to say it to their face. I don't think it's right. I don't think it allows for a right of reply. And if anything, I think it just makes things fester and go on beyond where they need to be. I'm now in a place where I am, and I'm content with what I've done so far, and I'm content with how I've delivered myself into my work.
Sorry, I have to ask this question, but
Oh no, here we go. Brace yourself.
How did you achieve a handstand from a near enough sitting position?
You know this was coming up at some point, man.
I had to
wondering when that
ask.
was coming. If you look at the clip, Harry Forrester should score from 8 yards out.
So is
And
this
I'm on my haunches, and I'm like, yes, no. And as you go, you hit the tipping point of, I'm going. Oh no. I'm going to try and style this out now. I'm going to try and style it out, and I'm going to push into a handstand. But what I hadn't figured out was my right hand is caught in my sleeve. So I'm like, no, that's why.
It's
That's
more
why.
like that.
Honestly, generally I can style that one out and just handstand over. That time I made an arse of it, to be perfectly honest. But I stand by my answer. So Sky came to me, Graeme, how do you feel about you doing a handstand? And I'm like, yeah, personally and professionally, I'm a bit mortified, but I honestly think I've got a bigger issue in trying to get the team to win than me making an arse of myself. Let's be honest. And then, lo and behold, Pep did it last year. And I posted it. I tweeted it. There you go. See, he does it. And I just tweeted, we've all been there. And Q, everyone I know just sends me mine. So to get me doing it again. What can you do? Happens.
Personally, as a Celtic fan, I didn't see it wrong, mate. It just shows you how passionate you were, though. No, I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, like, the passion of that, man.
I would probably say you're more remembered for that and what you're coaching the Rangers.
I agree. So a mate of mine came up for the Old Firm, and he's in the Rangers end at Parkhead. He said there's a guy in the seat doing it in the stand. And his mate's holding his feet, and he's doing that with his feet. I'm like, yeah, brilliant. I've had a great impact, haven't I? So we played we scored some really good goals. We scored a goal at Hamilton away on that Astro. It's one of the best goals, one of the most pleasing goals from a coaching point of view. One of the first times I went, I did that because we did this in the week. No one remembers it, but they remember me standing on my hands.
Because I
You
seen
made
when
James. Sorry.
sorry, I was going to say, see, obviously Rangers are looking for a new manager.
Yeah.
I seen the bat signal meme, but it was upside down. Then after someone was like, "Give Murty a call."
To be fair, I get it all the time. See, the guys I worked with at Rangers, by the way, and some of the guys who are still there are phenomenal people, but they never miss an opportunity to give me a lot of grief. Never miss an opportunity, but rightly so. I'm the same for them. But I think that was my overriding experience of being at Rangers was the people who deliver what that club stands for in a really meaningful way every day. The integrity of the people and the people on the coalface, the people in the academy at Okanawa, the people that you see at the desk at Ibrox, the way that they expect you to comport yourself because of the stature of the club, and just the people that they are, like people like Alan Boyd and Greg Stark, Dave McCallum, who's still there right now, Graham Stevenson, who's now an analyst with the first team, all of those kinds of people. They really made me feel welcome, and they really actually showed me what it meant to be to operate at a club of that standard and that level. They were phenomenal to me. They were really, really welcoming. I cannot thank them enough. Really can't.
And you made James Tavernier captain at Rangers, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Well, that's a big achievement, isn't it?
What? Saying like a band.
Biggest achievement.
To be fair, biggest achievement.
I said it's a big achievement.
The achievement was, I think, was maintaining. I think me. I'm just me. Some people didn't like it in the press. I'm just Mertz. Well, you can't be Mertz. You're this. You're the manager of Rangers. You're right. Okay, I am. That's my job. That's not me. The guy who let the wee guy in the hospital, Nathan, in the hospital, hit me and then fall over and make him laugh. That's just me. I am, and I think one of the things that I'm proudest of is the people who've known me since I started at York think I'm the same person I am now. I'm just me.
So, man. Obviously, your time at Rangers came at an end then, and you moved on to Sunderland. Obviously, you've had a fantastic season up there, mate. How are you? How is it, and how are you enjoying yourself?
I thought I'm coming south of the border. We're going on the east coast rather than the west coast. At least it's going to be a little bit warmer. No, bloody freezing, freezing every day. It's like a wind machine as well on the coast. It's cold. It's intense, and it's an absolutely massive club with so much potential. It's reminiscent of Southampton when I was there as a player, in terms of if we get it right, the scope is massive. It's been underutilized and under-resourced for a long time, whilst it was having its struggles. We've got an owner in now who's trying to build something quite gradually, which is good. But we've had, I think, a good impact. We actually have a model that means that we're going to develop lots of young talent. We've got a couple of young people. Obviously, there's a lad called Chris Rigg, 17 years old, who's played as many games at this age as I think Gareth Bale and Jude Bellingham, people of that ilk. Is the youngest person ever to start and win in a playoff final at Wembley. The boy Tommy Watson, who scored the goal, who's one of our academy guys. There's another one on the bench who's the under-21s captain for the year. The goalkeeper, the centre mid, who's the captain of the club. The real academy thread that runs through the team is something I think that the club are really, really proud of, and I think it's something you have to guard really jealously. You have to recognise that and make sure you're operating in a way that hopefully continues it. But the job itself has been great, and being back on the grass and helping develop young talent, I think, has been really beneficial for me. Once again, coming into a new environment, a new way of working, a new staff, a new integration. I think that it's been great for me and great for my family, because now we're together, living together again, where we were split, which I didn't really enjoy. It's been a really, really, really good challenge, and I think you would really enjoy watching the team play. The under-21s play slightly differently, but we play some really, really, really good football.
Is there anybody that you think who could come through and play for Sunderland that next season in the Premier League?
That's the big challenge. So we've got a couple. So if Tommy hadn't gone, then yeah, him. Young lad called Harrison Jones, who's a 10, who's a lovely receiver of the football. He played some minutes towards the end of the year. He might find it a bit harder because we just signed a boy, Enzo Lafi from Roma, who's a proper footballer, by the way.
Outstanding. I've got one last question for you. Obviously, you're working away at Sunderland just now. You had your time at Rangers as the interim manager. Have you any aspirations in the future of becoming a manager again, maybe?
I think so. I think I'd like to do it. I think I've turned a couple down. There's a couple of things that I applied for, went through the process, and got to the end stage. And when push came to shove, the deal or the structure around wasn't quite what I'd hoped. Because let's be honest, this isn't. When I worked at Rangers, the club were really, really good to me, and they said to me, "You're going to do this for us, so you will always have your post in the academy." So this is not. You're going to get if you lose 25 games at the first team and we take you away from the first team, we're not going to sack you from the club. You will revert to your role. So I always had that safety blanket, which I thought from the club and talking on a human level, I thought was phenomenal for me, and it was a measure of regard that the club showed that I'm really grateful for. If I'm going to step out and go and do this on my own, I want to put everything in place for me to be successful. The people I've spoken to so far, I don't think have quite matched that up, which is okay. That's no problem. But for me to take that risk and that step for mine and my family's future, I want everything to be right. I think I can do it. I actually know that I have the capacity to do it. But I want to go and make sure I give myself every opportunity of being successful at it. Because if I'm going to go and do this thing, the same as me playing from a wee boy to going into coaching, I want to be really good at it. I just want to be really good. I don't have an ultimate. I want to coach this team or that team. I want to be really good. I think my background is allowing me to move towards being really good. But if I'm going to go and do and be a manager, I want to go and knock the socks off it and be really successful.
Brilliant, mate. Great place to stop. I just want to say, Graeme, it's been an absolute pleasure listening to you, mate. Your powerful stories. You've been hilarious. You've been very insightful in everything you've told us. Really wish you all the best for the future, mate. All the best and good luck.
Thank you very much indeed, guys. Really enjoyed it. Thank you very much once again for having me on.
Thank you, mate. See you later.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.